Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be starting our 2021 Winter Car Challenge. So for this year's Winter Car Challenge, we decided we would stick with a fairly light budget for the initial purchase of our vehicles. We couldn't go more than $1,000. Makes sense. So, what can you get for $1,000 that'll be a decent winter car and fairly fuel efficient? Well, the answer to that question is a 2008 Audi A6. So I picked up this car for $1,000. Not in bad shape overall. It's going to need a little work for us to get it up to drivable spec, but overall, not bad for $1,000. So, how good is a $1,000 Audi? Well, for starters, we have a full leather interior. We have some fake wood trim going on, which is quite nice. We have nav and a bunch of other stuff. It's got 264,000 on the clock, so she's a little up there in mileage. The gear selector only works if that piece of tape holds the button in place, so that's going to need to be fixed. It's one of the things on the list. Rear brakes are shot, have to replace those. The winter tires, the tires that were on it were completely bald. So we went with these Champiro Ice Pros. I think these should be pretty good this winter. Under the hood we have a 3.2 V6 naturally aspirated. These engines are pretty good. You get decent mileage and they run for quite a while as long as you take care of them. However, this one has a rather bad oil leak from its valve covers. I cleaned it off a bit before, but as you can see here, there's still some oil everywhere and it's leaking all down the bottom. So we're going to work on replacing those today. It also had a little bit of an accident at one point in its life. So the cover for the driver's side fog light is missing, as well as the fog light, well, no, the fog light's not missing, it's, there it is. We're going to have to do something to make that work. And one other issue we're having with this car is nothing in this corner works. I popped the trunk already. Someone had tried doing their own repair before and butchered the wiring harness, so we're going to have to try and rebuild that. But overall, for $1,000, not bad. We'll see what Maple Street Garage brings to the equation. But as it stands right now, I'm feeling fairly confident that I have this competition in the bag. Now on to the work. Step 1, remove plastic covers. Step 2, remove spark plug coils, wires, and air intake. Spark plug wires are held in place by two T15 Torx, and the coils just unclip and pull straight out. As you can see, we now have the coils removed. Remember to lay them out in order of which cylinder they came from. This can help you with diagnostics in case you have a misfire later on. As you can see inside the cylinders, oh sorry, not the cylinders, the spark plug holes, there's a little bit of oil, and you can see where it's been leaking down in there. I did the spark plugs earlier this week, and when I did, they were filled right up to the rim. Alright, now we're going to work on removing any other wires and hosing that connect to the valve cover, and then we will begin unbolting. However, before we do that, we're going to strip off this side as well by removing the air intake filter housing. We're going to take off the coils and the wires again. So again, for the coils, it's two T20 Torx, and then to remove the coolant reservoir, which we just did that to make life easier, it is one T20 as well. So you unscrew there, and it just pops off from over there. Makes your life a lot easier. Alright, now that we have all that cleared out of the way, we are going to work on cleaning off the valve covers a little bit. And then we will start removing them in sequence. I will edit a picture for later on in the video that will show the sequence in which they need to be removed and installed. quick note, the clips that hold these breather hoses in can be a little bit of a pain. Is the way they work here, if I can get this to focus, is this plastic square here. So this slides over and fits on this ridge here. So what you have to do is, I find, is you wedge a screwdriver in between here and here, then you use a third one here to pry this edge off, and then you have to go around behind, pop that edge, and the whole thing will slide off. It's not that difficult, but if you don't know how it works, it can be a bit of a pain. Well, I got the valve cover off, and as you can see, the inside of the engine doesn't look too bad. There's part of the old gasket there. However, we did run into one small problem. I broke off the PVC by accident. I had it disconnected, thought everything would be fine, but it caught on the valve cover, and because old, dry, brittle plastic, it failed. So now I'm left with a couple options. One, I have to pull the entire intake off of it and get a new PVC hose, which is actually a rather large piece. Well, it's a one piece between both banks, goes back into the engine and then into the intake manifold because overcomplicated German stuff. And that part by itself is, well, from Rock Auto at least, is $115 before shipping. That's really going to hurt my chances on winning the budget part of this winter car project. So what do I do? Well, I'm not sure. Let's see if we can spot it. Yeah, there it is. Down in there is the other half of the hose. So what I think I can do is pull the throttle body off of it, and then I should be able to either put something inside and sleeve these two halves back together, or I can sleeve something over the outside and glue them back together. We will see. Either way, I need to have this car mobile by the end of today, and that doesn't help my cause. Thanks, Audi. Alright, so we have the old gasket out of the valve cover now, and as you can see here, it's really just dry and brittle and just came apart in about 6 different pieces. Whereas our new gasket here, see, nice moldable, pliable, give us a nice seal. Inside the valve cover doesn't look too bad. I'm fairly sure that those are the originals. But we'll get that switched over and back on the engine. Well, mating surface is cleaned off. Time to put the valve cover back on. Valve cover is now back on the engine. Now, the important thing to remember here is you're going to want to do these all hand tight before you take your ratchet to them, and then when you use your ratchet with your T30 Torx, a 3-inch extension, and a 3/8 ratchet of your choosing, or a 1/4 inch would be better. All you do for tightening is you grab the ratchet right by the hilt, and as soon as it becomes tight, you stop. You don't want to retorque them, as these are plastic valve covers and they will crack, and you will be spending a lot of money to get them replaced. So after pulling off the throttle body, I found that I had much more access to the PVC hose, which I have broken off. And if I line it up in place without clicking it on, harder to do with one hand than you would think. There you go. Nearly lines up perfectly. The issue, however, is I have next to no slack on that side, which is probably why I broke in the first place. So I'm going to see if I can find what holds it down and try to relieve some of that tension. And then I don't know if I have anything I can sleeve inside of it, but I think what I will most likely end up doing is, if I can get some slack out of it, I will probably try wrapping it in E-tape. Mind you, this is just temporary until I can get the actual part. This, odds are, will not hold all winter. I just need it to last the week. Alright, so we have both valve covers back on it, and I did find a fix for the PVC pipe. I just cut a piece of heater core hose, slid it over top, and problem solved. We will now put the throttle body back together, and our valve cover job will be complete. Turns out the job is not as complete as I would like for it to be. I found out that the canister purge valve that attaches to the intake for some reason, where is it? This little guy here. Someone snapped the end off it and tried gluing the end back on. Did a little bit of digging, and turns out that that's what's been causing all of my engine lights. This stupid thing cost $250. So I think Maple Street might be able to pull off a win as far as price is concerned. I still think overall performance, this car should outperform whatever he brings to the equation. But yeah, things to look for when you're buying used Audis. The problem is, where is it again? This valve hides in a really bad spot. It lives on the back of the airbox, so it's supposed to mount here, but that was broken off of it from whoever worked on it last, and operate this diaphragm here, which opens this. There's the airline that controls it. I've just capped it off for the meantime. So I don't have another valve to put in today, so I'm just capping the lines to put it back together. Here's the other end of the line. This is what connects to the main vacuum harness, which, as you can see, goes down in here and then attaches right up here. So might run rough without that. And yeah, the valve would normally be sitting right about there with the box installed. See, there's where the diaphragm would collect its air. Overall, the valve cover job went, well, it's fixed, so that's not leaking anymore. We fixed the PVC, and now I have to fix that valve, and that should deal with all my engine lights. I guess we will see you in the next video. We'll see what Maple Street Garage is bringing to the equation. Then we'll start doing some testing between the A6 Audi and whatever it is Maple Street Garage has purchased. So stay tuned. This could be interesting.